The United Auto Workers strike against General Motors is entering its fourth week, and representatives for the union say negotiations have taken a, quote, turn for the worse. Jonathan Jackson from our affiliate WNEM has the story.
This is the first one I've ever been out for this long.
To hear that we're going back and not forward is crushing.
Nearly 4 weeks into the UAW strike against General Motors, and the end is still not in sight. As an email from the UAW GM vice president revealed that negotiations have taken a turn for the worse, leaving some UAW members frustrated over the continuing contract talks.
I think there's a lot of frustration from the employees that the company is yet to bargain in good faith, I think, with the union.
In his 25 years with the union, member Marvin Crook says he's never seen a strike like this one. And as an employee at this General Motors plant since 1997, he's been through quite a few of them. And other UAW members are starting to feel the effects of this strike too.
Seeing that this is hitting its fourth week, it's very heartbreaking because of the domino effect.
Cynthia Dio works at Next Year Automotive and says the length of the strike is even leading to layoffs at her plant, which supplies parts to General Motors. But the union members I talk with say despite the turn in negotiations, they're prepared to stay out here for as long as it takes.
It's pretty much the same as day one. We're pretty much in support of our leadership in the union, and we're out here, letting them carry the weight.
To be out here supporting 668 is just wonderful. We're still here helping them with donations, so anything we can do, we're going to do it.
In Saginaw, Jonathan Jackson.
For more on this, I'm joined by Malachi Barrett. He's a Michigan politics reporter for MLive.com's public interest team. Malachi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So President Trump, as we know, won the state of Michigan in 2016, and he cited support from blue-collar workers for that. But you write that some members of the United Auto Workers Union are asking, where is President Trump? What has the president actually been saying about this strike?
Very little. Actually, in September, he was given the opportunity at a White House press conference to declare where he stands with the auto workers during the strike, and that was very early in the process. I believe it was only a few days after the strikes began. At the time, the president touted a strong relationship with auto workers. Here in Michigan, they're a very key part of his constituency in counties in the southwest or southeast part of the state around Detroit. His ability to court formerly Democratic union workers was pretty key to his victory here in the state. But at the time, the president, touted his support with auto workers, but didn't say much about where he came down on one side or the other. And since then, has made really no comments about the strike as it moves into its fourth week.
Well, Malachi, based on your reporting, what do union members want to see from the president?
Well, I mean, like anything in Michigan, it's a little complicated. Outside the Detroit Hamtramck assembly, the auto workers on strike there were much more forceful about wanting the president to be visible in this effort. They felt that he campaigned pretty heavily on appeals to them and promises that he would help, get them better wages and better jobs. And they feel that he has not really been there for them in this struggle. Over further east in Macomb County, one of the counties that the president was able to flip after Barack Obama won it twice, the workers there, generally a little bit more Republican area, Republican leaning, they're more sympathetic to the president. They feel that maybe him getting involved would taint the water, make things a little bit more complicated with GM's negotiations, but ultimately feel that some show of support would be welcome as they continue to support the president.
You mentioned Macomb County there. How could this strike have an impact on President Trump's reelection prospects?
That is the key question. If Democrats are able to increase turnout, many in the state feel that the president's chances of winning Michigan again will be a lot tougher, if not impossible. And if they're able to dig into his margins in really key battleground counties like Macomb, it could be even tougher for the president. Now, the people that I talk to, they're not changing their mind based on this situation. They feel that their fight is with GM and not so much the president. But as these strikes continue to wear on, that could change.
Right, because it was interesting to read that, some of those folks that you talked to don't necessarily blame the president, because it sounds like they're talking about situations they feel were essentially set up long before President Trump himself took office. So some Democratic presidential candidates have visited the striking auto workers. How have the striking workers been responding to the candidates' support?
At the time when Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren came through to the Detroit assembly, they were very warmly greeted by the strikers there. Bernie Sanders in particular had the largest crowd of demonstrators that I had seen in going back several times to the plant. And, they were very forceful about what they want GM to do. They feel that the company is doing very well for itself financially and not spreading that wealth with its workers. And that kind of keys into some of their main messages for the campaign. And workers were very happy to see that these kind of long-term fighters for equity and justice in the workplace have come through and backed their fight. Meanwhile, back in Macomb County, some were more skeptical that this is kind of a campaign tactic, and they're maybe using this situation to score up some votes. But at least on the ground in Detroit, where Democrats are really going to need to increase their turnout, they were very well received.
All right, Malachi Barrett with the view from Michigan for us. Malachi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.